Welcome to Cohesive Friendship Unit. My name's Chris. I'm here with Brian,
What's going on?
Jeremy,
Yo, what's up?
and Jake.
Hey guys.
Guys, it has been 2 big weeks for streaming video games. Something that when we started this channel, I thought was many, many years in the future, but apparently it's right around the corner, at least in some capacity. A week ago at Inside Xbox, Microsoft did the first public showing of Project Stream. Looked pretty okay, even though I'm not entirely sure that that was not totally staged. Today, Google unveiled Stadia. Stupidest name ever. But they showed it off nonetheless. Jake and I were on the public beta for Project Stream. Stadia is coming out later this year, and public betas for Project xCloud, Microsoft's streaming platform, is coming out later this year. So it's right around the corner. Is this it? Is this going to happen? Are we going to be streaming games instead of owning them? Are we not going to be buying another gaming PC? Are we not going to buy another console? Let's talk about it. Let's go into this.
So here's what I think. I think for a lot of people, probably the majority of the market, this will be the way things are going. And I think there's there's a significant majority of people that you can't mod games over a streaming service. You can't play ridiculous archaic titles that nobody cares about anymore. You can't mess around with and some people just like messing around with the stuff. If you just sit down in front of your laptop and stream something at 4K and 60 FPS, for a lot of people, that's the highest achievement you could get in video game convenience. But there's a lack of, that doesn't appeal to me. I've never liked the streaming services. I've never liked the games as a service thing. I just like having a physical, I like having something that I can mess around with if I want to. And I think there's enough people out there that you won't see it go all to streaming, but it's going to be, I think, a significant portion of the market.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it...
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, you take it.
I think it depends on what the model is. I mean, as with anything that's streaming, the instant thought is that it's a monthly subscription, which I don't think if that's the case, if both Google's and Microsoft's streaming service are a monthly subscription model, I don't think so, because there's already things like GameFly and other subscription services where you can essentially get any game you want in a couple days, and it hasn't taken over the market. I don't think anyone's interested in that recurring cost for something they may or may not use. I mean, my Steam account has 100 plus 200 plus games in there, and I buy them all really cheap, and I don't think I've bought in a single game in months now, but I still play video games almost every day, so it's not like it's something I want to pay continually if I'm not going to use it.
I think that's a really good point. I think the other thing is that video games, unlike, say, music or TV, are not necessarily something that you do every day. I would say that we're all pretty big, pretty big gamers.
I wouldn't consider. I play video games.
How
every
much
day,
do you
but
play? Then you're a pretty big gamer.
I'm not a gamer. I wouldn't consider myself a gamer though.
Brian, we're not gamer Americans, particularly not you and I. But I think we're realistically, we all are pretty actively, we are active participants.
We play video
play
games, but
games.
I think a lot of people just prefer playing video games to watching TV. Where you sit through 20 minutes of commercials for a 30-minute show.
Dude, you're on a video game podcast.
Who? Me?
Yeah, but,
To all of us.
we're on a video game podcast.
I'm sitting on the fence.
All right, Brian will allow to stay on the fence. But I think the point is we're all pretty active, and I play often. But there are lots of days and sometimes even weeks things are busy at work. You know what I mean? I'm not necessarily playing a lot of games that week. Occasionally we'll go a week at a time where I might play, for an hour or two just that week. And I think, do I want to be paying a subscription for those weeks when I'm not using the service. Whereas like music, if you're paying for a streaming service, or if that's the primary way you consume music, I think many people listen to music every single day for often quite a while if they're listening to it on their commute. Same thing goes with TV. Most people do watch multiple hours of TV every day. So I think there is a bit of a difference in consumption patterns there as well.
I kind of tend to lean towards Brian, where I think for the vast majority of people, this is not only going to become mainstream, but it's going to be a good thing for more people than not, because you don't have to. It just continues to consolidate your devices. Like, if you don't need a gaming PC to play the newest AAA game anymore, you can play it on your smartphone and stream it, which is unheard of up until this point. And it has the potential, assuming that you happen to live in, the right part of the world, where it can actually potentially save you a little bit of money. We don't know any of the costs yet, but I think for the quote hardcore gamers, like probably a lot of people listening to this are gonna say, I like playing my stuff locally. Like, even a little bit of latency is too much latency, or like I don't want the streaming artifacts. Like, I want that. It's like people who are audiophiles, like the diehard people, are still they're gonna get that FLAC if they want that FLAC. You know what I'm saying?
No, dude, you gotta have it on vinyl. Like,
or yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you want that quality,
dude, FLAC vinyl rip, dude.
FLAC vinyl rip, yeah. But you get my point. Like me, like, I collect a lot of games, and there's a reason I do that and I do emulate stuff on occasion, but there's a reason I collect the games that I collect. And I think for the hardcore, people are still going to want to have things local and still want to pay the big bucks. But I think I would say the like 85% of people, it'll make more sense to just stream. And I'm excited to see how this rolls out.
Do you guys think adoption will be different for console versus PC?
Well, that's the thing. It kind of blurs the lines.
I think this will eat a lot of the console market.
I agree, because I think that targets a more casual crew.
Yeah, and I think the PC crowd already has... I mean, we've all got a dedicated space for a computer. I mean, I think we're all just kind of in the PC world already. It's not like we're going to get rid of our PCs and just put, like, a Raspberry Pi there instead. Like, we're going to have computers the entire time, no matter what.
I could see myself like assuming a perfect world, and this thing goes off without a hitch, and it's great, and it's cheap, and it's affordable, or whatever. I could see myself just not building another PC and like letting this one run its course, and getting whatever after.
Maybe. I mean, say your other RAM stick dies, are you gonna toss the whole PC, or are you just gonna start paying for this?
Yeah, I mean, it depends again.
I agree with something Brian was saying, which is also that like people who buy PCs do so for a reason. Like, I think the fact that we all chose to buy PCs as opposed to consoles, like part of why you buy a PC is to play in higher resolution with no latency, but also maybe to mod, to have access to a wider variety of games. So things that wouldn't be likely to be available over a streaming platform.
Things that would not be available. Like, you think they're gonna stream if you wanted to play Fallout 3?
You certainly couldn't mod.
You think they're gonna stream Fallout 3? They're absolutely not gonna. Like,
yeah.
Let's put it this way: they might stream Fallout 3. They're definitely not going to stream Fallout 1. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, you're not. You can play if you look hard enough. You can do whatever you want with a PC.
Yep.
You can play whatever game you want. You can make it work if you're dedicated enough to it. Yep. The streaming thing it's what they picked, and even if a whole bunch of your favorite games are in there, you still might be caught in the position where some of the ones that you really like and you really want to play, like, they're not on the streaming service. So you're paying for the streaming service and you're paying for the other game. Like, you get to a point of diminishing return as you go up in seriousness, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll run into the same issue that like the movie TV streaming services are running into now, where there's all the services have their own exclusives and they're all really good. And now people are running into the issue of, well, do I get Netflix or do I get Hulu or do I get Amazon Prime?
That's
or...
the same as consoles right now. It's like, do I get an Xbox or a PlayStation? Because do I want to play Halo or do I want to play The Last of Us?
Right. But that's like, you get one and they really have like a couple exclusives. But let's say, I mean, Google they only get a couple things. And I mean, look at Epic Game Store. They are buying up a ton of games, and a lot of people are very unhappy with it right now because it's the only way to get the games right now.
Yes. Well, so, I mean, just kind of very similar to what you said. I mean, this is exactly what you said. Google announced today with their new platform, Stadia, that they are now going to be a first-party developer for Stadia. They announced that they have a development studio working on games.
And they're all going to be games about controlling the world and like getting into people's minds. And
They're going to be RPGs.
mind controlling an unsuspecting populace and like chemtrails and all that shit.
I do want to talk about this real quick because I kind of thought this fit with the theme of the video. This is kind of Gen 2 of this happening. We had OnLive, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with, but it was like $100 box and controller that you streamed games with. And they had a few like AAA games, and OnLive is obviously not around anymore. PlayStation, Sony, they still have a streaming service, but it obviously didn't take off the way they wanted it to.
It sucks.
Yeah, you can technically play The Last of Us on a PC if you pay quite a bit of money. I'm going to look up the pricing right now, but so this is Gen 2. Do we think Gen 2 is going to flop as well, or do we think this one might have a little bit more staying power?
We both played Project Stream and it worked really well, so there's kind of already proof that at least Google's will at least work well enough for most people. I mean, if you can hit 1080 and I'm assuming it was 60 FPS, then that's really what most people are looking for.
And on paper, this will be 4K, 60 FPS.
Right, but even if they don't make that, like 1080 60 is enough to succeed. It's not like it's gonna flop and disappear. Oh.
Yeah, I agree. I think it also depends a lot on price. If it's free, then I think it could make inroads. If there's a cost associated with it, then I think that people will be less likely to move over because people who are playing video games now already have a way to do so. So you know what I mean?
PlayStation Now is $20 a month.
Yeah. If they took the Steam model and they just sold games and they were just a store, I would probably move over pretty quickly. I mean, one of the things that's the most attractive to me is being able to play games on your phone or your tablet because
it's like a Switch.
All mobile games, yeah, and all mobile games suck right now. And I'd love to have something to do while I'm sitting on the toilet at work.
Or just like when you go on vacation, like, or it's like on paper, it's uncompromised, you know?
Right.
Assuming you have the connection, which is a big assumption, but.
Right, and that's like, especially where you said like going on vacation, you're more likely to go to a place where you can't get good Wi-Fi, you can't get a good.
But this is the kind of stuff that gets better over time. Like maybe
right, well,
year
that's
one, but 2025 might be a different story.
That's what I was going to say about the whole second generation thing. A lot of times, like, the second guy to the party is better off than the first guy because you learn from all of the mistakes that the people, whether they were pioneering in the sense that they were, pushing the technological envelope or just kind of putting a couple of Lego bricks together and seeing what worked, you still learn from the mistakes that they made. And a lot of times, like, you look at like jet airplanes, the first generation ones, some of them just came apart while they were flying. The second generation ones were quite good because they learned from those mistakes that other people had made. So I think this will be probably the first generation of these things that actually work, that are able to gain mainstream acceptance because they actually more, even if it's not 4K, like Jake said, like 1080 60 is fine on a cell phone. Like, that's pretty damn good. So if they can make it work, and I think they can at this point, it'll be the beginning of streaming as a huge, like, streaming the game from a remote in.
And if we get, I mean, 5G is not here yet, but if they had lined up with kind of the broader release of 5G, this definitely will succeed.
It's not super far.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
But it's not here yet.
Yeah.
But once we hit like the 5G, you can stream from anywhere.
I think what is giving me the most hope, or not hope, I mean, I want this to succeed. I don't want it to totally flop. But the thing that gives me the most hope for this, having more staying ground than OnLive or PlayStation Now, is it's not OnLive and PlayStation Now. It's Google and Microsoft. And the fact that major players are putting their major money and their major resources and their major faith into this gives me more hope than some no-name OnLive, you know?
Yeah. Also, I think we're going to see Amazon hopping into the game at some point.
For sure. They own Twitch, man.
Yeah.
And they own AWS.
Yeah, they own AWS, which is... It's absurd how much AWS controls the internet right now.
Awesome.
All right. I mean, I'm good if you guys are good. I think this was a good chat.
Yeah, dude, good discussion.
All right.
Good discourse.
Where should our viewers go to have some good discussion, Brian?
Well, if you guys are just hoping that Google didn't drag Google Plus out behind the shed and put a bullet in it to empower all of this gaming service like I am, go ahead and hammer your respects and thoughts about the recently deceased Google Plus down there in the word box. And on a happier note, like Chris said at the beginning of the video, if you subscribe to this channel, you'll be automatically entered into a chance to win some Steam codes. So if you want some Steam codes, because you probably like video games, and you probably liked our content, our spiel, if you will, if you watch this far in the video, go ahead and click on that sub button, because you just might get something nice for yourself. And smoke them if you got them, guys. That's all for me tonight, Chris.
Thank you, Brian. Catch you guys next time.